Welcome to the session number 12 of Patanjali Meditation for Beginners, PM101. We will devote first 12 to 15 minutes to meditation practice, group meditation, following these 5 steps, which we are all now quite familiar with. So let's get to the meditation. Having taken the body posture, we can remove any kind of stiffness and feel elastic. We devote first few minutes on deep breathing, abdominal breathing, or diaphragmatic breathing. Each breathing cycle with 4 phases. During the retention phase, when we are holding the breath outside or inside within us, we recite the sound Om mentally. Otherwise, in 2 phases, when we are breathing out or breathing inward, exhalation or inhalation, our mind is absorbed in functioning. Let's begin the deep breath. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Breathe in. Hold the breath within. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. One more last cycle. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. We take a slight pause. when we are switching over or letting our body take the control on breathing. In our step number 2, when we do deep breathing, we are doing it through the application of mind. But as you know, breathing is the background function. It happens by itself in an automated manner. So as we move further in our steps of meditation, we let our body do the breathing in its automated manner. The essence of it is that I don't want my mind to be aware of breathing. Indeed, this is the topic of today's discussion. This is a very fine point, but I now hope most of you will be able to understand and appreciate it. When we do the breathing with application of mind, that is called pranayama, the second step in Patanjali's prescription. And when we want to go further in meditation, we want our mind to be not to be aware of breathing. Now we instruct our mind, that is step number 3, with that sound that is called pranodhvani. Soon after that, we focus our mind between the two eyebrows and make our mind settle there. That is step number 4. And then I disconnect from my mind and walk into the cave. The innermost cavity where my soul is residing. That is the final step number 5. I am in meditation, disconnected from my mind. But step number 4 and 5 are not so well defined. In this journey from step 4 to 5, meaning disconnection from my mind, there are a huge number of possibilities. That is what poses challenge to any beginner. Of course, our objective is that mind should be thoroughly, absolutely inactive. That's what Patanjali defines as Chittavritti Nirodha. Yoga is absolute cessation of anything happening in my mind. So that absolute cessation is, we can even say it's quite theoretical, but we should be aware of that is our objective. So next, step 3 is instruction to mind. Then step number 4 is focusing the mind between the two eyebrows. And step number 5 is disconnecting from my mind and being alone in the cave. Of course, general guideline is if a distinct thought is coming, we remind our mind with that instruction sound again. Let's recite this sound 5 times together. Om. 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 We may now gradually open our eyes. Let's go back to the slides. Last week we have discussed the Patanjali meditation is like providing food for the soul. Of course, we are familiar with food for the body, food for the mind, etc. But this is something further deeper than that. The most subtle energy in our innermost cavity that could be considered as food for the soul. And we have, as I was making again some remarks, this is our challenge between step number 4 and step number 5. This is a huge, deep ocean. So, mind is a deep ocean. On the surface of it, there are big waves, etc. But as you go deeper and deeper, there is less and less kind of convection and flow and activity. So, though it is a tiny, subtle domain of mind, but it is enormously large from the depth point of view. So, there are different possibilities, and now I am sure in our 12th week of the course, you are able to appreciate the intricacies of this. Of course, meditation is challenging, but there is a lot of path to be covered. And the good thing is, wherever you are deserving some benefit in your day to day life. As well as one more benefit is that you become deserving for the next step. Next step by step, I don't mean from 4 to 5. I mean in this huge, deep ocean, you are going diving slightly more deeper. Today we are looking at, I am very excited with this concept, transformation in mind, covered in chapter 9, page 60 to 65. This is a very powerful thing which has to be seen to be believed. And Patanjali meditation goes to that aspect. Let's look at it, what we talk about transformation in mind. This is what we are talking about Patanjali meditation, where we know our final objective is to have what is called Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Very simple. The statement sounds very simple, but it is pregnant with very, very deep meanings. Of course, now you are sitting for meditation almost every day, probably, and you see there are wide spectrum of possibilities. At one end, you may be bombarded with distinct thoughts, though you want to sit for meditation, but your mind has some other plans. And on the other hand, our objective is to almost become like what it is in deep sleep. In deep sleep, we have absolutely nothing happening in our mind. No dreams, nothing. Indeed, we are even out of the world. So that is what we want to gain, but in a conscious form. While in sitting posture, we have our consciousness and awareness, but as insofar as activity level in our mind is concerned, We want to be on the other extreme as if we are in deep sleep, though with awareness and consciousness is well preserved. So, as a beginner practitioner, now you know it, that we are always somewhere in between. And that is the challenge, that is the journey. So, many remarks I make on Patanjali meditation are qualitatively meaningful when you are on the right extreme, when meditation is that mind is absolutely blank. When mind is not exactly there, it is halfway through, in between, then also it brings the benefits. So there is no problem. We are all traversing this journey. So many remarks I make are absolutely valid only when I am in deep meditation, mind is thoroughly inactive. But it is not that otherwise it is not relevant. It is happening partially. So I hope you will understand it. That is what I am trying to say here. The Patanjali meditation is the only way to wash our mind. This is very important in day-to-day life. Just like our body picks up all kinds of sweat and dirt, and next day we again wash our body. My shirt also picks up all kinds of, though we take our best care, still unknowingly or knowingly it picks up all kinds of dirt, then we wash our shirt as well. The same thing is happening in our mind. As we walk on the street, we are looking at the hoardings, we are looking at all kinds of events, we are interacting with a lot of people, a lot of things are going in our mind. Some of those is we really want them to go, some sort of information, useful knowledge, etc. But a lot of rubbish is also going, whether we want it or not. And more so in today's commercialized world, where everybody wants, is seeking your attention, probably your money, if you have purchasing power, and they are bombarding you with all kinds of information. Most of them are irrelevant. So this is today's market economy oriented world we are living in. And then many interactions are unwanted. Somebody says something to you which is not very pleasant, and we cannot control others' behavior. All this is, we are the recipient of all these things. And there has to be a mechanism that we are minimally affected by that. Otherwise, there is so much of rubbish, and that can affect us tremendously if we are not watchful. So this is where I am so proud about this Patanjali meditation, that this is the only way we can take care of what our mind is going through. We have to take pity on our own mind. So if there was a concept, if there was a possibility to wash your mind, this is it. There is no other way. You cannot take a drug and wash your mind. If you take a tranquilizer or any other soothing things, it makes your mind sleep. It makes you relax, but it doesn't washes your mind, it doesn't transform your mind. I hope you realize it. You are, as you are going through this particular course, you are armed with a very powerful technique. And I hope you are now in this 12th week are able to feel it, what it is. Because I am sure now in your personal meditation practice, you are able to capture a time duration when your mind is, if not absolutely inactive, is reasonably inactive, at least void of thoughts. Maybe some images are there, maybe image is still, maybe it is moving. Certain things may be happening, but I think you have learned it to look at your mind from a distance and have a more detached view of that. So that distance, that separation is very important. After all, mind is your instrument. You want to have a look at it from a distance. And that's what Patanjali meditation is gradually bringing you to that confident level. And that way, you are probably being able to observe that yes, there is kind of transformation, change in my mind. Because as a thing is washed out, it changes also. Sleep is good, it gives you relaxation, but it doesn't change character of your mind. If somebody has a personality A, it is nice personality that he still is able to have a good night's sleep, because we know it in modern world, many people don't get good sleep as well. Now this person has a personality A, goes to sleep 6 hours, 7 or even 8 hours, wakes up, he's fresh next morning, but he's the same person with that personality A, with that he went into sleep. Sleep does not transform your personality. Our personality is the content in our mind. That is why I'm not bringing new Sanskrit words, but Patanjali's predecessor, Kapil, author of Sankhya, he calls it ahankar. Ahankar is not, if you are familiar with this word, forget about that meaning, keep it aside for a while. Ahankar is a component in our mind which makes my aham, my personality. So my personality is preserved in a particular compartment of my mind, because that compartment of my mind makes my personality my aham. That is why that compartment is called as ahankar. Aham kayoti iti ahankara. Like Swarnakar is a word in Sanskrit for goldsmith. Swarna kayoti iti Swarnakara. Kumbhakar, Kumbham kayoti iti Kumbhakar. Kumbhakar is a potter who makes that earthen pot vessel. That is Sanskrit, it is called Kumbham. One who makes Kumbh is called Kumbhakar. Now the ahankar is my compartment in my mind that makes my personality. That is why it is called ahankar. But large number of books misinterpret it as ego, which is not the right way to look at it. Anyway, what I am trying to say is, when your mind is still and blank, it is washed out and then it goes through transformation. So one example I am giving here, which you will appreciate, there is a person maintaining a large garden. Of course, he is planting all the desirable plants and seeds and whatnot, but we know it very well. Besides those wanted things, a lot of unwanted things grow in the garden. And this smart gardener knows it, that he should pay attention to both, positive attention to the seeds he has planted, and he should be slightly cruel in weeding out the unwanted stuff. So he has to work both ways. This is what Patanjali has called abhyas and vairagya. Tending, doing what you need to do, and undoing what not to be done. So this is what is possible only in meditation. This is why I hope by now or towards the end of the course, you will see it, that you are equipped with a very powerful method and technique to transform your own personality, your own mind. You don't have to visit a psychiatrist unless things have gone out of your way. And I want more and more number of psychiatrists also to learn these things so that they can utilize it for themselves, for their patients, and so on and so forth. We have to make Patanjali meditation a more well-known commodity in today's world. So just to give an example, why that so-called mindlessness, so-called thoroughly inactive mind is important. Just I give an example, like you come here using an instrument of a car, and if you wanted to be in the hall, you have to park your car outside and get away from it. And suppose there was somebody, there is a car wash shop nearby, then you can do two things together. You can attend this session as well as in that many minutes. Your car is washed, isn't it? For your car to be washed, it must be in a stationary situation so that the person who is doing hand wash, who is hand washing your car, is able to attend to it. It must be inactive mode as far as you are concerned. You, as the user of the car, have brought it to a standstill position and have handed it over to a person who is washing your car. So look at meditation as this kind of a thing. But it is so wonderful, even if it is not absolute cessation of activity in your mind domain. What is Patanjali's strict definition of yoga chittavritti nirodha? All kinds of perturbations, fluctuations, anything that may happen on my mind screen should be subdued. Even if it is not happening, say one extreme is 0%, another extreme is 100%. Say on the average, many of us are at 50-60%. But then also, it is such a beautiful gift of the nature. To that extent, your mind will be washed and salvaged. Of course, as you improve your quality of meditation, as you go to 100% level, comparable to the sushupti, the deep sleep, then your mind will be washed thoroughly, much better. But just because we cannot approach there, it doesn't mean we don't do it. Let's do it as better as well as, because in doing is the possibility of progressing also. You swim, you learn to swim, and you dive into water. If you don't even practice meditation, you will never be able to improve upon it. So the idea is your mind will be washed better and better, more the mind is still and blank and inactive. Now we are going in this slide slightly one more step above, not just washing, excuse me, we are servicing. Talking about a car, washing is not enough, we know it. If you want to drive the car long distance, from Houston to say Atlanta, you want to be very confident that there will be no breakdown between these 15, 16 hours of journey. You are not that expert. You have been using the car every day for local transportation. But 15 hours on a freeway, almost non-stop, of course, some breaks will be there. You don't want to take chance. There should not be a breakdown. What do? You take the car to an expert mechanic and you give it to him. You say, I am driving to Atlanta in a couple of days later. Please have a look at this car and ensure that it is perfect condition. Not perfect, as good, so that I don't have any chance of breakdown. You didn't have any specific complaint, but you want that expert to examine it. And he keeps the car with him one day and he makes it all better. because he is expert in that. And when you take the delivery, you can feel the difference. Yes, now it is in much better manner. That is called servicing. It is not repair we are talking, servicing. So imagine mind is such an instrument. A lot of things go here and there, and we can never be that objective about our mind. We interact with hundreds of people in the society, and we feel, why did this person behave like that? Why does he talk like that? We are able to point out shortcomings of others. But you know it very well. It is very, very difficult to find shortcomings in our own mind. It is very difficult. We cannot be that objective. That is where this is very helpful. Like that person before driving to Atlanta didn't have any, wasn't going, seeing any, no perceptible shortcoming. But he didn't want to take chance. He gave it to a mechanic. A mechanic took care of that. Not only the washing, even servicing has been done. So that is the power of Patanjali meditation. Wherever you are, your mind will be washed as well as serviced. And that will make the change in your personality. And that is what it is always going to be in the positive direction. So that is a powerful thing we can expect from Patanjali meditation. I call it transformation in mind. Both sleep and mindfulness meditation give relaxation to mind. And so does Patanjali meditation. I am not against sleep. I am not against mindfulness meditation. What I am saying is they help you and we must use them, but we should also know their limitations. And that is where Patanjali meditation is one step beyond, because it insists on chittavritti nirodha, absolute inactivity, which we may not be able to go to that point, but let us aim towards that point. More and more we get closer to that point, the washing and servicing of mind will be better and better. Of course, in the early part of the course, we have said that if there is a young man in his 20s, had just taken up a demanding job, he got married, and a lot of family and work commitments, if the person is not careful, he can end up being a stressful person. So we discussed with some charts, etc., if you remember, that if that person came out of the college and was relatively stress-free, now if he adopts daily practice of meditation, Patanjali meditation, then his meditation practice and sleep together can very well ensure that he stays away from stress. And probably most of you remember that, and you might be feeling that at the end of meditation, some sort of relaxed feeling. But now we are talking much beyond that. If you is stressful, sometimes you can see a person face and you know it, the person is loaded with stress. How can we help him? Patanjali meditation can help him. Of course, because of his baggage of stress, he will take longer to learn the technique of Patanjali meditation. It will be difficult for him to visualize that blank mind, how to get away from continuous bombardment of minds, etc. It will be challenging. But with practice, he will be able to do that. And he can even come to this point where most of us are today, where we get a good, reasonably good fraction of say about 50% of our time duration. Beyond deep breathing, we are relatively, if not absolutely inactive mind, we are relatively in, I will say, relative inactive mind, at least void of distinct thoughts. That also is gradually doing its work of transformation in mind. And that gentleman who has a baggage of stress, that stress which is add on in his mind. Remember, nothing comes to the soul. In the philosophy of Patanjali, the soul of mine, yours, anybody's, his or hers, male or female, even animal, bird, insects, the souls are identically same. We differ, our personalities differ because of the content in our mind. Of course, human mind is most powerful. But within human minds, we are person A is A, B is B. All this is because the content in mind is different. And a person, a stressful person, has something, of course, nobody has a microscope. There is no electronic microscope in the world that can look in our mind, because all this we are talking about is very, very tiny scale, millionth of the point of the needle. We are talking about such dimensions. I don't know how did Patanjali know all these things. Please remember, when we talk about mind in this course, we are talking about that subtle shell of mind, which I started with in the beginning, the thumb in the fist. The whole brain is not mind here. The brain is part of the body here. Mind is a very subtle domain. Within that mind, some minor subtle transformation take place day by day, week by week, and a person becomes a stressful person. Something has happened in his mind. Nobody can find out what is it. But we have a powerful technique. If you are making good progress in Patanjali meditation, I say, that's what I said about washing and servicing. That gentleman's stress will be washed out. Not only that, if somebody has become dependent or even addicted to, say, smoking, there are a lot of people, even doctors say it is quite possible to get out of alcohol practice. But nicotine is a very, very terrible monster. I have heard this from some doctors saying nicotine is a very, very difficult if you have got addicted to it. But I must say, and I'm not saying just by imagination, I have seen it in my own class students. They have told me there was a chain smoker. His name, oh my God, his name, he was in Birmingham, England. Kish, something like that. I forget his name. He was 20 cigarettes a day, one after another, chain smoker. And I think he was in this practice for 6 to 8 months. And that day he was one cigarette a day. And again, 6 months later, no cigarette in his life. And I asked him, he said, I don't feel like smoking, because he had changed. The person had changed. Like I don't feel like smoking. And a lot of people feel like smoking. What is the difference? Difference is in the mind. You have programmed your mind. First day you didn't want to smoke, your system was coughing. You wanted to throw out the smoke, but you became habitual. And now you want to give it up, but you are a slave of that tiny white stick. But I say, this is the power of Patanjali meditation. You can be free man. You decide what you want to be. If you don't want to become a slave of something, you get that power by transformation in mind and a lot of other things. I think as our groups will grow up, I am sure some of you will even probably opt to teach these things even to prisoners. And I am very confident we will see that. Some of them who had criminal tendencies, they will be transformed. I am sure. Because such things happen. A lot of people have said many things to me, but I don't want to get personal, but that indicate that people had certain tendencies which were of negative nature, and with some months of practice, they say that I am not interested in those things anymore. I just don't feel like doing such things, what I used to do earlier. So, such things, you get a lot of inner strength and power. So that's all we have. These are sounds like small things, small in number of words, but they are enormously, and that's what makes me very excited. There is no teaching in the world that can equip you with this power. That's why I am so much fascinated with Patanjali's philosophy and his technique, and he has made it simple for anybody. Of course, it's besides theoretical learning, you have to practice, you have to devote yourself to it. I'm not going to list out all this because we want to devote. So, a new item I am adding, you see, this is a long list. Birth of a new transformed you and a more natural you. Just imagine a small child, he is never wrong, doesn't do anything bad, wrong, and is always smiling. He is filled with that inner energy, that food for the soul. His mind is pure and he has so much power, he can make anybody smile back. So that's the intrinsic, natural personality we want to get to become. Today I'm adding something. We've been saying, we started off, there are 3 bullet points here. We started off with this central element. I asked you to do a daily practice of meditation, relatively with empty or light stomach, morning or evening, 10 to 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, you decide yourself. Then one time I added bullet number 1 also, that yes, if you are still struggling with bombardment of thoughts, then you will be helped by, find some small slots in your day-to-day life and just do deep breathing. And even if your meditation is good, this is also good, no problem. Today I am adding a third bullet point because now I know a number of you, I believe almost all of you, are quite confident that you can close your eyes, take a position on a chair, and make your mind relatively blank. If you have that power, then now I will suggest there are occasions in a day. You just sit for a minute and do a fast meditation. I don't call it fast meditation. I call it meditation capsule. Just gain 1 minute and try to go to the focus point, that blank mind. You have used that 1 minute, but it will boost your energy. It will be very helpful if you are in a difficult situation or it's all fine. You have a minute in your hand. So this is another possibility you may want to explore. some small minutes here and there, and just getting to the point of doing nothing, physically as well as mentally, nothing. This will also be very helpful to you. Let's move on to the last few minutes. Stop sharing. Okay. I'll set my clock about exactly 7. So we have about 10 to 11 minutes. Okay, 3 cycles of deep breathing. Now it begins. Deep breathe out. Hold the breath out. Deep breathe in. Hold the breath within. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Breathe in. Hold the breath within. One more last cycle. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. We are taking a pause here. Again, I keep mentioning about mindfulness meditation. Most of the meditation teachers teach you to focus your mind on the breathing, which is an unending phenomenon, and they call that as meditation. No problem, that is easier to learn. That also brings a number of benefits, but then you get stuck there. You never go to the point because you have gone to a dead end, and you will never come to a point your mind is absolutely inert, because it is always focused on breathing. So your mind screen is always having something, an event taking place on that. So that is what we call, we want to go a step further. So that is why I always try to emphasize, once deep breathing is over, like it is over in our case, we have moved from step 2 to 3. So I say we hand over the function of breathing to our body's automated mechanism. And thereby, we want our mind to disconnect from breathing. So deep in my cave, I don't want to be aware of my body frame. Also, I don't want to be aware of my breathing. Aware of no thoughts, no image on my mind screen, nothing. So that's why I always try to say, mindfulness meditation based on focusing on breathing is a dead end. That is why you want to equip yourself with the right kind of technique that can put you on a journey which has no dead end, which is endless. Let's instruct our mind. Oh. Om. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.